Hi, my name is Rob Atkinson, and I wanted to respond to some questions you all had for me. Um, I'm applying to be a pastor at Avalon Church, and I'm just going to run through these questions so that you can get to know me a little bit. And the first question, how would I minister to a person who has tattoos, someone who drinks or smokes, or someone who uses curse words? The short answer is I wouldn't respond to them any differently than I would anyone else. Someone who has tattoos, I know people that have tattoos usually appreciate if I ask them about it. Usually, if I haven't seen it before, and I do, I ask them why they have it and what it means to them. Usually, tattoos are really meaningful to people that have them, and they want to share their story. So, if they drink or smoke or uses curse words, I wouldn't really respond to them any way differently than anyone else. Half the people I know do these things, and so it wouldn't really, I wouldn't take a different approach to them than I would to anybody else. Anyway, the next question, what would I do if a staff member that I was leading confessed moral failure? And the first thing I'd want to do is just, get to know what happened. And if they're confessing it, obviously they want it to be known, and they want to air it, let it breathe a little bit. So I just try to understand what happened and talk to them about how long it's been going on, if it's still going on, any details that I need to understand about it to help get through that. Then, that being said, the next thing I'm going to do is weigh it against biblical wisdom and just see what the Bible has to say about it and talk through that with them and just help them understand how their moral failure, how the difficulty that they're going through lines up with their faith in Christ and what they're going to do with that, the disparity between what they believe and what they're doing. The next thing I want to do is bring that before the church leadership, whether it be the elders or pastors or both, to let the situation benefit from the wisdom of counsel of godly leaders. And so moral failure is such a broad term that it's hard to be very specific about what should happen until you know exactly what we're talking about. But first thing, just understand it. Second thing is weigh it against biblical wisdom. The third thing is bring it to the church leadership. And then the last thing is, love the person, depending on which, direction it takes after the confession and having the wisdom from church leaders. You just need to love the person, get them through that, especially if they're confessing it. I'm assuming that they're confessing it in a repentant spirit. But if they're not being repentant, then the approach would change quite a bit. And so it would just really depend on what it is. And the third question, do I learn better by listening or teaching? And so the short answer for that is both. I learn really well by listening. Things like theology, I learn better by reading. I benefit a lot from sermons. But teaching, I benefit from that, especially if I'm teaching in a really broad subject, because that it gives me a chance to dig into it, gather information, and organize it in a way my mind thinks sort of systematically. So if I'm teaching something or writing about something, it helps me to organize things in tangible packets. So it really just depends what it is. In some subjects, I learn equally well by listening and teaching. The thing is, if I'm teaching it, I'm probably listening to sermons and reading books on it and things like that anyway. So I almost wouldn't separate these things because when I'm learning, they tend to happen at the same time. The next question is, what's my favorite TV show? And that's a show called Motion. It's on the Living Well Network, and every episode is about rock climbing and mountain biking and backpacking and camping, things like that. And I love doing all those things, surfing and scuba diving and that sort of thing. So I'm an avid mountain biker. I like hiking and just outdoor stuff and kayaking, canoeing, fishing. So this show just really encourages people to get off the couch and into the wilderness and the streams and state parks and things like that. So I love it. My favorite kind of music is the next question, and that's just usually my favorite music is music that tells a story. I also like, just for worship, I like really soulful worship where we're actually singing to God instead of about God or about how we feel about something. I like it to be really directed toward God. My favorite movie is Cinderella Man. It's a story about it's an underdog story about a boxer who learns a lot about being a man from the trials that he experiences. And if you haven't seen it, it's a great movie about just a guy who learns to sacrifice and lay his life down for the benefit of his wife and family. And the reason I like it is I just think it's a great example for us. And also, it's a true story. It's a good struggle story about a guy who does the right thing even when it's very difficult to do that. The next question is, after I've been on staff for a significant amount of time, how would I respond to change in my job description? And I would, after being on staff for some amount of time, whether it's a year or 2 or 3, I would expect a change in job description. I've been in ministry for about 5.5 years, and I found that in ministry you have to be very flexible, because as a church develops, as a ministry develops, as you begin to develop leaders, your job description has to change. If your job description isn't changing, I think that's actually a red flag, because it means that either you're not developing, or your church or leaders or ministries are not developing and morphing into what they're going to be. A job description that doesn't change can just, be a sign of stagnation, and so we don't want that in church. So I hope that me answering these questions have been helpful, and don't hesitate to give me a call. I'd love to talk to you guys, and I've been checking you guys out. I love what you're doing there. I'd love to be a part of it, and I appreciate the attention that you're giving me with this video, and hope to meet you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.